Hey guys, what's going on? It is your host Madman, and we are back with episode 6 of season 1 of True Detective. And in this recording, I want to do something I haven't done, which is comment on the intro. I love this intro. It's very artistically. It's very artistic. I was going to say it's competent, but that's kind of a cold way to put it. But it's very good. You have this weird wheel symbol. You have all these industrial landscapes contrasted with nature. And then this woman, she has blue jellyfish in her head. Isn't that interesting that they chose that imagery? Kind of funny. We got spiked heels contrasted with smooth buttocks. We got Rust burning in hell with a cross above him. Marty's face here looking like a skull over the interchange. That's so fucking good, man. I love that shit. We have a woman's ass contrasted with a playground. Women as playgrounds, sexual playgrounds. We have one of Marty's daughters, and her head is like a phone. I don't know what the fuck that's saying. Interchange contrasted with sex. Marty burning. Rust with a bunch of antlers. Blah, blah, blah. It's just good. I mean, I don't really have anything too specific to say about it other than what I just said. It's just a good intro. It's very good. So, this episode begins with Marty waltzing into the prison cell where his daughter's lovers are confined. And they are pissing themselves. They're like, we didn't even know this chick's dad was a cop. Can you imagine being these poor fucks? We never know if they knew her age. We don't know that. But Marty is threatening them with basically death. He's basically like, I'm going to ruin your lives to the extent that you might as well be dead. I might as well just be killing both of you. Got a nice edgy Angel of Death shirt on the fucking blonde guy. He's like this Lucifer ass, baby-faced looking fuck. And Marty's just like, oh, look at that. The guard intentionally left the door open so I could fuck with you. And they're like, no, dude, we really want to just stay in the cell. We're fine. And I love this. The guy's like, you're a little angry. It's like, what are you, psychoanalyzing the guy? Bad move, dude. And he's like, that's patronizing, man. He's right. And he gives him the ultimatum. He's like, either you let me beat the shit out of you for fucking my daughter, or I ruin your entire life and basically kill you, turn you into a prison-raped, hollowed-out nightmare person, which is basically worse than being dead. Kind of a obvious choice, guys. Like, get punched a few times. You'll heal. You're young. You're in your 20s. Some guy beats you up once, you'll heal from it. Better than being in prison for your entire life. And to this guy's credit, he steps out of the cell. This little Lucifer guy, confronting God, who is a prick, just as much as he is. He's like, well, at least I'll come out of here, I'll take the punishment, whatever it is. Good God, he fucking kicks the guy. Fucking hell, man. Goes to town on his ass. And this other guy, he's like, please, I don't want to. Man's game charges a man's price. Oh, I love about this scene, too, that I noticed when I watched this just before recording this, just to make sure the subtitles were working. There's a bunch of cleaning crew guys that are conveniently right outside the police station during this scene where Marty is doing heinous shit inside. But the exterior of the police station is what matters. It's the facade that matters, the facade of civilization. And he's so disgusted by what he's done, he fucking pukes. This is meant to humanize the character, to make it seem like he's feeling guilty for what he's done. Who knows how he feels? All we know is that he puked. Could have been from stress. But one way to interpret it is, well, he had this instinct to do this fatherly instinct, but he's still disgusted with his own process, which is a lot like Rust in the previous episode losing his cool with the Yellow King guy. And then, of course, we're back in the future. And the two detectives, the two black guys, are like, well, look, dude, your partner's mental state was like collapsing around 2002. And we have like notes, we have proof that this is the case. And Rust is like, well, or Marty is like, well, I wasn't following his every move. I'm not this guy's nanny. I wasn't supervising everything he did. But he started interviewing these old people. And he finds this old Lovecraftian fisherman guy who's like, my son, they found his boat broken up. The Cthulhuids dragged him back down to Rullier. And my poor wife, she went insane. Said she could hear the ocean calling for him. Like he weren't supposed to be here. And of course, his son went to one of the Tuttle creepy schools. So the implication is he was abducted by some creepy group, or he wasn't supposed to be here and went back to Rullier at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, because he was more comfortable there. This guy's dirty-ass house. It's a great set. And he's like, to avoid my grief, I will resort to violence in a minute. I know myself enough to know that, so please leave before I try to attack you. Just, I don't know. It would have been better if he cocked his shotgun, but it's a variation of that type of reaction that makes the scene more interesting when the Lovecraftian fisherman guy doesn't immediately go insane. And then we cut forward a decade or so again. And here are the two detectives, the two fresh detectives. And they're interrogating Marty's wife, his former wife. And she's red-pilled, man. She's like, I know how you guys operate. I was married to one of you for like 20 years. I know the culture. I know all your ins and outs. I know all your lies, all your illusions, all your little poems. I know everything. And she brutally attacks these guys. She's like, I used to pretend that you guys were smarter than you are, but you're just good liars, and I don't pretend anymore. And they're like, well, you're a cop's wife, ha ha ha. And she's like, not anymore, motherfucker. I'm out. I did a mic drop and fucking left. And they're like, okay, you stubborn bitch. Wonder why you and Marty didn't work out. Because you should have been a cop yourself. And to the season 2 and 3 writers' credit, collectively, there are female characters who are like this, who just end up being cops in the other subsequent incarnations of this show's idea, which I think works really well. Some of those characters, in particular the female cop from season 2, that makes more sense. Marty's wife here really acts like a cop. It's almost like this show was written by two guys who were focused on the two male cop characters. And they're in the writer's room and fucking Matthew McConaughey's like, Woody, what do we do about the wife character? Do we make her should we make her like a masculine cop character who's really stubborn and denies her husband sex? And then Woody Harrelson's like, yeah, we should do that. Because they're so obsessed with writing the main characters. That's an unfair criticism, but, I'm just joking around. This character's well written despite not being a cop. I'm just saying the way she behaves in this, it's similar to the season 2 character, the female policeman, who I don't remember the name of. So basically she says, I knew Rust. He knew himself. Marty didn't. Marty didn't know what to want because he didn't know who he was. And then we cut to the scene, and this is weird. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, he went here intentionally because he was looking up this chick like a creep. That's not the case. He doesn't know she works here. He's been tasked to go out and get tampons and get a new cell phone plan, because that's the type of shit you have to do when you have a wife and 2 daughters. That's what you are going to be doing as a guy. It's just how it is. Nothing wrong with it, but it's something you got to do, He's literally got bags full of tampons here, He's got his epic pussy destroyer cowboy hypermasculine belt buckle on. His external cock is on full display. Straight up, I have a belt buckle like that. I never wear it because I always feel like it's just too ostentatious. It's like this giant, gaudy ass thing, you know. It's not even the gender politics interpretation. It's a big shiny ass thing, and it just looks, it's too much, man. It's like wearing a clown suit in public. But you know, this guy, they're in fucking Texas, so it makes sense. Anyway, he's at this bar. He's like, I'm buying tampons and talking about cell phone plans. I need a fucking drink. And this chick shows up, and he doesn't recognize her. Because Marty, you know, if you've been watching the series, if he'd recognized her, he would have been like, holy shit, you're that chick I saved from the whorehouse. Holy fuck. But he doesn't remember, because it's been like, 10 years. And she looks different. She's older, you know. He's probably in his late 40s, early 50s. She's like 26, so she's half his age. You know, a bit of a Jerry Seinfeld, Johnny Depp type situation where he's, attracted to somebody half his age. There's biological reasons for that. I mean, men usually are attracted to younger women. That's just a thing. Doesn't excuse any illegal shit, but it's biologically encoded, And then poor Rust, we cut back to him, and he's found this preacher guy, this poor bastard, who's like, I was in the trenches of faith, man. I was setting up tents in fields, trying to help people. This guy, he's probably done more for people psychologically than a lot of therapists in his same area of Texas, and a lot of medical professionals, just by giving people something to hold on to so they don't fall off of the ride of life. But even he is like, I'm fucking exhausted. I can't do it anymore. I gave up years ago. But Rust, of course, he's exhuming the corpses of his previous witnesses. He's like, I need more information. I can't solve this case. It's dragged on for another fucking 10 years. Or 5 years. We've gone from the mid-90s to the early zeros now. And so he grills him about the Tuttle schools. And he's like, you were involved in this. You have no reason to lie to me now because your career is over. You're basically content to rot away like I will rot away. What's creepy about this scene is Rust becomes this guy in 2015 or 2013. So he's looking into his future self. This guy is basically future Rust right here. This preacher. And he finally admits, he's like, look, kids were being messed with at these creepy, very small, very fringe churches. And he's like, maybe it was fake, but probably not, bro. Like, if you find some creepy Polaroids in fucking 1998, I don't know how or why that would be faked. And Rust is like, why? That's kind of a dumb question. Why would you leave? Well, after figuring that out, who wouldn't leave? He's got a dollar store mug with the Dollarama sticker still on the bottom. God damn, that's funny. I don't know whether that was intentional. It's an oversight, but that makes it funnier. That's perfect. Of course he'd be buying mugs from Dollarama. And Rust keeps pushing him. He's like, come on, man. You got nothing to lose. You're out here getting drunk at fucking noon. And he goes, all right. Here's what happened. Here's what broke my faith. Here's what made it so I couldn't go on. I was cleaning a library, and I knocked over this book. Now, the Letters of Telios de Lorca, there's a whole fucking... You can read articles about why they picked that book. It's like a bunch of... There's a reason why they picked it. It's a real book. But the writers chose that as the book that the CP was hidden in, right? And he's like, there are a bunch of Polaroids of kids in this book. Looked like they were sleeping, almost like they'd been drugged. Because remember, the murder victims were given meth and LSD. If you gave someone something else that kept them asleep, maybe you could fiddle with them without them remembering it. They wouldn't even know it had been done to them. They wouldn't even subconsciously know. That's what the abusers are hoping. If we drug them hard enough and fuck with them, they won't even remember what happened. They'll have no access to it. In theory. And so this guy's like, they tried to pin this on me, just for showing people like, hey, here's what I found. They were like, oh, what is this, your work? Is this your shit? And he's like, no, you idiot. Why would I show it to you if I had done it? And still they tried to pin it on him. He's like, that's it. He's like, I'm out of here, man. This place is cooked. This place is fucked. And of course, this is the big meme about this series. This big, the one-liner is, it's about the silence of God. It's like, go check out my Burnt Orange Heresy review. God hid his signature. He didn't deprive you of proof. It's just not obvious, And this preacher, he's so dejected. He's like, I'd rather just look at nature and get drunk. Honestly, there's worse ways you can spend your life. That's not bad. You're not doing anything particularly evil by doing that. Oh, you're wasting your talents. What if your talents are wasted even if you apply them? Might as well just look at a lake and drink. He did all he could to help people. His tents got vandalized. Anyway, let's rubber band back to the scene we're seeing. Basically, Marty's reconnecting with this chick. She's like, hey, thanks for saving my ass from being a permanent whore. You're kind of a daddy figure / hero for me. And there's an interpretation of this where it's like, oh, she's just tempting him. She's a temptress. But if you look at it in the context of the show, these are two characters. I don't think she's trying to fuck with him. Why would she want to hurt him or harm him, right? In her mind, she's like, I kind of feel like I owe you something. I kind of feel like I owe you. And then the other dimension is also you saved me, so I'm genuinely attracted to you as a woman. Like, you saved me like a hero. God, that's so hot, in her mind, the character's mind. And so she's like, come over to my place and we'll fuck, This is long overdue, You sort of are owed this as the epic ancient Grecian hero, the Odysseus. Oh, you saved me, and then you went on your 10-year odyssey. Now you're back, and I'm going to fuck you. And of course, this is fucking corny, man. The little devil statue. Oh, is he doing something wrong? Yeah, of course he's cheating on his wife again. He's tempting fate because he already got a fucking second chance. He got a chance to save his family, And then he talks about marshland Medea. Medea is I think that's a goddess or something. I'm not going to look it up while I try to make this recording, but anyway. Basically, Marty, when he's interrogated, is asked about Rust's state of mind, and he's like, well, there was this one bitch who was fucking insane, and I think it broke Rust, because, even he has his limits. And that's exactly what happened. It's not the scene from a few episodes ago with the guy who tempted Rust about the Yellow King. That's not what breaks him. It's this woman. She's got a bite mark on her forehead. She's got a weird forehead scar, like something bit her right between her eyes. Very weird and creepy. And basically she's being interrogated because her kids keep dying. And it's like, they die in weird ways, but it's sort of consistent with sudden infant death syndrome where they suffocate. Your infant's in your crib and it suffocates. But this woman has experienced that a few too many times. Almost like she's killing her own children for attention. And Marty breaks. He's like, bitch, I just wish I could kill you like we killed those meth heads in the jungle. I would just blow your brains out. That's what Marty wants to do. And Rust is like, dude, I have to manipulate this chick. Get out of here. Can you imagine, by the way, holding this chick's hand? It's all but proven that she's done something heinous. In the context of this story, she's totally guilty, and Rust will show the evidence for why. Can you imagine knowing that as Rust and holding this woman's hand? Can you imagine pretending to sympathize with this person? The amount of energy mentally, emotionally that would take to maintain the facade of sympathy when a person deserves none, when they deserve to be in hell. You still have to pretend to be sympathetic to them. Imagine that. And Rust, the reason he's able to keep his composure is he says, "We've got you, bitch. We've got the baby monitor data, and we know what you did. All this bullshit about me saying I lost a kid too, blah, blah, blah. It was to trap you because we know you're guilty." And Marty, he's sort of in awe. He's kind of like, he's got his pursed lips, it's like he's eaten 20 lemons, He's looking at this like, how can this guy be a human and do this shit? This empath magic is fucking beyond me. I can't even control myself from fucking random chicks on the side. Meanwhile, this guy's manipulating psychopathic. I mean, this chick is cooked. She's totally insane. She's totally fucked. And after she confesses, Rust actually is honest with her. And he's totally honest here. He's saying, whatever prison you go to, woman prison, man prison, mixed, whatever, if you killed children, even the people in prison, they will torture you and kill you like a fucking cartel. He tells her, and this is a merciful thing. He's not trying to torture her. He says, kill yourself clean before that, because the ways they'll kill you, they're not going to do it quick. They're going to do it Mexican cartel style. And she writes out this huge confession, because of course Rust makes her do it. And the police chief's like, "Okay, good job, Autismos. I'm going to go sit at my desk and drink coffee mixed with Irish whiskey and criticize you for being autistic, even though you allow me to occupy my position by torturing yourselves." Again, I'm sympathetic to the police chief. It's not easy to deal with these guys, but goddamn, there are times when he's a fucking idiot for the purposes of the plot. And Rust is like, bro, I just raped my own soul to get the confession. For the love of God, at least transcribe it for me. At least look at it just to transcribe it. I had to fucking rip that out of that woman. That dark, demonic shell of a human. I had to pull that out. You're not even willing to type it up on a fucking computer, man? All my sympathy goes to Rust in this scene. He's a little arrogant where he says, "Without me, there is no you, blah, blah, blah." That's too far. But he's exhausted. Imagine the emotional energy, the fucking effort it would take to hold that woman's hand when the same hand you're holding strangled an infant. Can you imagine that while keeping a straight face? People dab on actors. They're like, acting's easy. It doesn't take any energy. They live an easy life. They don't have to do anything. There's a form of energy you have to expend to put on a fucking performance. And there are some of us who can't do that. That's a mercy. If you have no access to that ability, count yourself lucky. Because you'll never be in a situation like this, where you have to act in the face of this, of pure evil. So Marty, again, he's being his stubborn meathead self, and he's saying, well, I don't understand how Rust even does what he does, despite being his partner for fucking 8 years, or whatever it is. So I'm just going to be mad that I have to type something up after I went and cheated on my wife, Marty's living it up, and he's criticizing Rust. Now, going back to the actual sequence of events that we're seeing, Marty has talked his way into the psych ward that this human trafficking victim now has to live out the rest of her days. She's been so brutalized by the creepy meth heads that she is basically catatonic. And it's incredible he's even allowed in here. It's only because he's a cop. But he's so desperate to solve the case, and when he talks to her, she looks at him. This poor girl, man. I'm such a soft-hearted fucker. I'd feed her porridge for the rest of her life if it just made her smile once. I'm such a fucking FAG. Even if it didn't help her, if it just kept her going, I don't know. Maybe that's the torture. Maybe they should just kill her. Maybe that's mercy. I don't know. The show is very heavy at this point. But the important part of this scene is that Rust actually makes a connection with her, and she shocks her nurse by actually talking to him, because she hasn't said a word. But because Rust saved her, she's sort of shocked awake. And she says there was a guy who was like a giant. He was a big fat douchebag. And he had scars on the bottom of his face. She all but confirms what Rust is saying, but he can't use this as testimony. Again, he's now grasping at straws. He had such a shitty time with the baby-killing psycho woman that he's now trying to compensate for his stressful situation getting her confession by saying, like, can I extract some good from this old CI? Can I go and interview this girl? And he's not wrong. He's like, there's some shit going on, man. How do none of you care about this? It's like they're complacent. It's like they kind of know what's going on. They kind of suspect it, but they don't care. It's like they're soulless. They don't give a shit about what's really happening. They've got an "it is what it is" mentality. It's almost like you have to have that mentality to get into a position of authority. You have to not only accept human evil, but actually actively, knowingly allow it to continue. That's some heavy shit, man. Rust isn't prepared to do that. Neither is Marty. But the police chief's like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you're doing or what case it might solve. What you just did in the present was retarded. It makes the department look like we're full of psychos who go and bother people in mental asylums. You can't do that, you know? You just can't. And he's like, it's almost like this creepy Baptist small church pedo guy is controlling all of you and you don't even give a shit. And meanwhile, Marty's so done with him because he made me type up an 18-page confession. That means I'm gonna totally sever him as a friend. He made me do a little bit of work because he was emotionally and psychologically drained. And because of that, I'm gonna be a prick. Because I feel guilty about fucking a whore and cheating on my wife. So I'm going to take it out on Marty because he made me do a little bit of my actual job. What a fucking dickhead. I mean, Marty is such a prick in this scene, man. Again, it's for the purposes of the story, but holy shit. It's hard to have any sympathy for the guy because he keeps fucking up in the same ways. And then, in addition to that, he impedes Marty's investigation and probably leads indirectly to the deaths of like a dozen women between this point in the story, 02, and like 2015. However many women died, you could blame Marty for that. You could blame him for being a retard. Because he is. He's acting like an idiot. Just to spite Rust. Because he made him type up a confession. That's kind of your job, dude. It's a creepy, dark, hard to get through confession. It's a woman killing her own children. That's nasty shit. You're a cop. If you can't stand the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen, man. God damn. My sympathy for Marty goes down to fucking -10 when I see this shit. So, let's rubber band back. We're now in the future of 2015 or whatever. Basically, the detectives are like, look, this is why we're trying to frame Marty. Because he looks creepy as fuck. He's so obsessed with solving this case that we can't help but look at him. Or our superiors are telling us, as employees, you have to look at this guy. And finally, Marty's like, listen, bro, whatever this dude is, I'm not going to talk to you at all. I won't help you. And they're like, we're trying to help him. Maybe they are. But Marty's like, not this way, man. You try to help him this way, you're going to drag him right down back to bottom of the ocean. And so as he's driving away, he notices he's being tailed. Who could possibly be tailing him? He's a cop. He knows when he's being tailed. And then we cut back to 02 with Avril Lavigne up there. I'm with you. It's a good song. I'm not going to dab on Avril Lavigne. And Marty's wife, because she's not an idiot, is noticing he's washing his clothes and at an odd time. Marty never does his own laundry. Why would he do this? It's almost like he's trying to wash the pussy smell off of his clothes. Because that chick probably rubbed her cooch all over everything. Because Marty likes face-sitting and ass-eating. He's a real ass man. It's not even me riffing, because if you go back to the episode where he fucks the other whore, she's like, you want to have your cake and eat it too? It's like, yeah, I like eating ass. Fucking sue me. It's not exactly an uncommon practice. Anus has a lot of nerve endings on it, okay? If you keep it clean, if you use mouthwash, it's not that bad, alright? It can be fun. If you're an adult who can fucking clean yourself, it's not a big fucking deal. We all act like it is, but there's shit particles in the fucking air. We breathe them in all the time. Our immune systems aren't that weak. It's not a fucking sin against God. These bodies are made by God. Why wouldn't we be allowed to eat some cake now and then? Especially if it's your birthday. Have some birthday cake. I love his two daughters, how different they are. One is like a Victorian, like she's wearing like a blouse from 1890, and then the other chick is like, I'm Avril Lavigne. Like it's like night and day. Also, the positioning in this scene is interesting, considering the wardrobe of his daughters. The wife is on one side with a blue blouse on, and the conservative daughter who's obeyed the conservative idea of what a woman should be is next to the mom. And the chick who's rebelled is next to her dad. It's almost like, genetically, Marty's propensity for rebellion and cheating and all these things got passed down to one kid, whereas the mom's stubborn adherence to tradition, or just her stubbornness in general, really, got passed down to the daughter we're seeing now, who's wearing the blue blouse. And again, she obeys her dad. He says, fetch me my remote, my dear. I require the magical channel-changing device to watch another football game in the Coliseum. I want to watch NASCAR. Oh, yes. The chariot races are quite stimulating to the eye, don't you think? And he's totally oblivious. He's like, why are you looking at me like that? She's like, nothing, you're just a piece of shit and you haven't changed. Despite the fact that one of your daughters is slowly going insane and the other one is retreated into conservatism to maintain her sanity, you are totally oblivious to your role in this, and you're lying to me, and I'm not going to respond by saying I love you. It should have been a big fucking clue. If you say I love you to your wife and she says thank you, why the fuck wouldn't you be like, honey, what's wrong? This guy's such a meathead, deaf, fluoridated crystallized retard that he can't even tell when his own wife is pissed at him. Or he's in denial. But I mean, Marty is... He's deaf in certain ways, man. Oh, God. So again, they're asking about Cole in the future here. And Marty's wife says some people have short memories. And it's like, well, I don't know about that. That sounds kind of like cope. It sounds kind of like an excuse. Like she's saying, well, maybe Marty didn't remember how bad it was. Of course he remembered. I don't think he forgot. You know, if he did, it was a willing suppression. It was not, you know, Alzheimer's or some shit. So as a response, Marty's wife, she's finally like, maybe I'll be the whore. It's like burnt orange heresy. Maybe I'll play the whore, you know. I'll put on a different mask that I've never worn before. But she's not familiar with it. She's uncomfortable. And this guy, some greasy fuck at this dive bar, you know, he's like, you know, would you like to have casual sex? You know, he's being pretty... He looks creepy, but he's not being that creepy, to his character's credit. Not that he matters, because he only exists for that one scene. Now he's gone. He's back into the ether. He never existed. And this is the scene that I misquoted before, where the guy goes, I'm still on my first wife. And Marty's wife's like, well, he quit drinking. He tried to be a Christ fag for a while. And she's like, that was cringe. I didn't like that. You know, it wasn't him, because he was still trying to find himself. It's like he was still 19. He didn't know who the fuck he was, you know. It's better to be Rust. It's better to be like, yeah, I know I'm a reclusive weirdo. I don't play well with others, but I can solve crimes and help society, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It's better to just accept that than to be like, I'm a badass. I know exactly who I am. You know, that's Marty's fit, where he's like, I can be a dad and a cop. I can be everything. I can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Good job, man. You ruined your fucking family. Anyway, enough about that crap. Let's go back to 2002. So basically Marty's like, or Rust, excuse me, is like, here's the Tuttle ministry. Here's the megachurch, complete with people with segways, which we saw a second ago, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. It's like they're trying to associate, and I don't know why the people were on segways. Just to make them look weird, I guess. Enhance the weird factor. You know, these people are in a creepy cult. Segways are an indicator of cult indoctrination. I've done research on this. I have 37 sketches to show you. He's like, we're sponsored by a Segway company, Mr. Cole. Is that a problem for you? Anyway, Rust is grilling him about the program. He's like, so, this program, lots of women and children going missing. Kind of suspicious, don't you think? Kind of weird how you guys have people in government that seem to legitimize or bury these types of practices. Kind of obvious, really, when you do even a very tertiary, small amount of research. It's kind of blindingly obvious, isn't it? And Rust, again, he's making fun of the guy almost. He's like, well, the school's dissolved with the program. Isn't it funny how all the records probably got lost? And this dude, though, he's like, I'm a master liar too, you little prick. I couldn't be sitting behind a desk with people on segways serving me caviar if I didn't know how to lie. But Rust is like, just because I'm a squid and you are too doesn't mean I'm going to excuse your bullshit. There's a sustainable way for us to be here, and then there's an unsustainable way. Yours is not sustainable. You're going to fuck over all of us if you keep this bullshit up. And he goes, oh, we handled it internally. Of course, yes. Reminds me of the recent scandal with Boeing where they had, like, the FAA evaluators or safety officers or whatever they're called that were supposed to inspect the planes that crashed. They were internal. They were people who worked for Boeing. Can you imagine a more incestuous relationship? A more heinous conflict of interest than that? That's pretty fucked up. It's like, well, we'll just make our own people certified to examine our own planes. The whole point of third parties independently examining shit is that they don't have a bias. That's the entire point. Literally, that's the only reason for that type of system to exist. If you remove the lack of bias, if you insert bias, it's pointless. You know, you might as well have a random homeless man inspect the planes, or a random homeless guy inspect the creepy Christian cult records. They're just as qualified as somebody who's quote-unquote internal. That's some heinous shit, man. Whatever system enables that type of behavior to proliferate is not a good system. Doesn't matter if it's capitalist, communist, or I don't even know, something else. Doesn't matter. It's a bad phenomenon that shows up, I think, in every human society, and it just has to be gutted out, like you would gut a fish. And this dude's going, we'll reintroduce the child trafficking program after all this Epstein shit dies down. People forget things. Like Marty's wife said, people have short memories because they're programmed to forget things when we want them to. And meanwhile, Rust is very smart here, because this Tuttle guy wanted to set him up with this little drone guy and say, oh, go down to our creepy basement and look at our records. I'm sure boxes won't fall on you and kill you accidentally, or the place won't collapse, or you'll drown in 1 centimeter of water. I'm sure none of that will happen. And Rust goes, I'm not that stupid, bro. I'm leaving. So now we cut to Marty being a pathetic piece of shit, as he is wont to do. Where this chick is like, I'll be your mommy and your daughter. I'll be your Freudian toolbox. I'll be your Swiss Army knife of Freudian satisfaction. Look at my butt in the mirror. Aren't I sexy in 2002 terms? And Marty's like, do you understand I have a stubborn tiger mom wife who's gonna fucking castrate me if she finds out about you? He doesn't even know she already knows. And then she goes, oh my god, dude, I'll let you do anything you want. Whoo, boy, that's some... Licks his lips like a fucking perv. God damn, man. She's so hypnotized by her idea of this guy as a hero. She's like, you can do anything you want. Crazy temptation. Anyway, let's get back to the police chief. Marty's cocked. He fucked his whore all night. He's totally drained. And the detective is like, you just went to a fucking political big donor type guy and fucked with him on behalf of us without telling us. You know? And Marty's like, I've got the flu. And he's like, yeah, that I'd fucking believe that, you fucking spurg. Human tampon. So good, man. And even Marty is like, you know, I'm not in Rust's graces. I don't like the guy right now. But even that's over the top. A month without pay? Holy shit, dude. It's fucked up. And then he's like, you gotta see a fucking therapist, man. That's the one good thing that this guy recommended. And, you know, Rust makes a bit of a point. He's like, you guys all need counseling, man. Because you're so blind, you don't even see how you're being... Your whole society, its entire structure is being pulled out from under you like a fucking tablecloth. And you're concerned because there's a fly in your soup while the tablecloth's being ripped out from under you. I love this. He's totally cocked. He's shining lights on antlers like it means anything. He's basically in Plato's cave. That's what the scene is trying to summon up. It's the obvious interpretation of this is he's casting shadows on the wall. You know, he's trying to figure out how the normies see reality, because he can't see it. He's permanently awake, which is just as bad as being permanently asleep, because you can only see things one way. If you can't transition between one way of seeing and another, you're just as blind as someone who's totally asleep. It doesn't matter if you're quote-unquote awake or autistic or a genius. If you can't phase between viewpoints, that's what it means to be blind, is not being able to change your way of seeing. That's true blindness. And poor Marty's wife, she's like, I couldn't fuck the greasy guy at the bar. He was polite, but he was too greasy. I want somebody safe. I want a little boy toy confidant. I want a reclusive, committed person who knows themselves so well that they know they're not fit to be in a relationship. He's so at home with who he is, despite the massive costs of that she's like, I'm going to rape you. And I do think that that's what this scene is. I don't indulge in weird, extremist political interpretations of things like this. This is an exception that I make. He's cocked out of his mind. He's very drunk. He can barely stand up. She shows up fully dressed up, and she uses the voice on him like the Bene Gesserit, from the recent Dune movies, which are very good. And she takes advantage of him. This is a woman raping a man. This is how it works. This is how it always goes. And Rust, he's like, I'm so weak right now. I'm so cocked. I'm so fried. I'm not going to be able to not respond. And she knows this. She's a smart woman. She knows that he drinks alone. She knows if he comes to his house at the right time and says the right things, she can make him fuck her. And she's a little surprised when he actually does. She's like, whoa! This is what Marty wanted from her. But maybe Marty wasn't contributing, let's say, to the relationship. We don't know. This is the most explicit scene in the whole show. And Rust is so stressed out. He's so fucked up. She's like, I'll give you this relief, but it's not for you. It's for me. You gain nothing from this. It's not even a casual fuck for your sake. She's not even fucking him because she feels sorry for him. It's all for her revenge. So Rust has gained nothing. He has been used. He has been raped. The balls that this series has to accurately portray a woman raping a man. And she's like, I didn't want to do this to you, man, but you were my only option. You were the only thing that I could use to escape from Marty. Because this will blow up the whole relationship. You and him and me and Marty will all never be able to talk to each other. I've destroyed everything. Like Eve, she's like, well, how about if I blow up all of reality and ruin everything? But again, Marty was a piece of shit. He caused this. He set these events in motion. And the way it plays out in this show is very tragic. Here she is years later, and she's lying. She's using all the tactics of deception that she's born with. And even here, she almost breaks. She's a little fragile when she says no. But she's like, I needed this chip. I need this bargaining chip to use against Marty. Because he won't stop being a fucking idiot. The only alternative to doing this was letting him cheat, which is retarded because their daughters are young enough, they're still living at home. The same incident could happen again, like it did with the previous chick in the 90s, where the daughters get even more traumatized, even more fucked up. She's being more of a mother than Marty is being a father. Here she is, admitting to him. She's like, I know you're. He's like, I know you're fucking another whore. And she says, how about I do the masculine thing? How about we do a bit of role reversal, Marty? How about I cheat on you? How about I play the cheating husband for a moment and show you what it feels like? And Marty needs this. He's such a child that he needs her to do this to him, to understand what he did to her. He's so deaf. Rust, good Lord, man. I hate the scene where she fucks him. It is brutal. It is like watching some best gore or live leak footage of some Indian train incident or something. It's that bad because Russ didn't deserve any of this. He didn't deserve to be a part of this. And he's totally used by these people. And the fucked up thing is, he doesn't blame them for it. Years later, he doesn't blame any of them. He just lets it go. That's godlike, man. Maybe he wasn't a failed Jesus clone. Maybe he was the one. But he had to hide it and act like a failure to protect himself. But it's neither here nor there. She begs Marty. She's like, if you actually harmed me, I could explain this better to my daughters. I could say, your dad's a piece of shit, we're leaving. But he doesn't give her the easy out. He's able to control himself until now. And this is what his wife wanted. She wanted the end of their relationship, however it had to play out. And this is how it had to play out. Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. If they're really half brothers in real life, man, goddamn. I care about these characters. I mean, they're fake. It's all fake. But it's done so well. The story is so well told. You feel something. It's called an emotion. Back before the epic Avengers CGI purple Thanos days, when you watched shows, you actually identified with the characters and felt things called emotions. If you weren't on 500 milligrams of Xanax, you could actually look at a character and go, wow, that's like a real person. I feel an emotion. Isn't that interesting? Now it's just,
I want flashy explosions. I want to eat popcorn and watch explosion. I'm lobotomized.
And finally, Rust's like, listen, man, I'm out. I'm done. I've lost my partner. I can't solve the case. I have to bow out. That's it. I'll solve it myself. Gets hit in his left eye. That's interesting. His left eye is the damaged eye. And this poor woman, she's doing her best. She's like, I'm facing two guys here. I'm lying as best I can to protect both of them, you know. She has sympathy for both people because they're both good people in their own ways. They're both flawed people in their own ways. She's got a good heart in the end. She's a stubborn cunt, but she cares about these men. She's like, they're human beings, they're people. I'm not a psychopath. I give a shit about how they have to live. I want the best for them, you know. May not be able to live with them, but doesn't mean I wish them ill. You know, that's psychopath shit. This person doesn't conform to my artistic opinions, then, therefore, I wish they will suffer forever. Like, that's psycho shit. She's not like that. None of the characters are like that. Except maybe the killer. Even the killer, that's a whole other thing. We'll meet him soon, ladies and gentlemen, in the next episode of the one afterwards. I can't remember which. We will get to know our epic villain. So again, fucking Russ just shows up out of nowhere. He's like, can I buy you a beer? I know I haven't talked to you in 10 years. And he's like, you're alright. It's just, this is great, man. The strength of their friendship, man. So much time has passed, so much bullshit. And he's like, I'm just happy to see you again, man. It's been a while, you know. We've both been through some shit. And then, of course, we have this fake scene where he cocks his gun. Like, you know, he's not going to fucking shoot. That's a dumb bait and switch red herring where it's like, is Marty going to shoot Rust? Of course not. Maybe he's just loading it because he thinks, well, maybe there's people tailing Rust that are more dangerous than him. Maybe that's the implication. I don't know. It's an interesting scene that they included there where he pulls out a fucking gun. Rust's face in the mirror here, right at the center of the shot. That's great. That's good. Damn, I never noticed that. Fuck, man. That's great. Very epic, guys. Make sure to go to the True Detective Season 1 subreddit and give everybody Reddit gold. Please don't do that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I'm going to keep going. We're going to finish this series sooner rather than later. I hope you're doing well in your life. Hope you're not feeling like either Marty or Rust. Those are both bad positions to be in. Pay attention to your health, mental and physical. Take your vitamin D, take your vitamin C, drink some water, and hug a loved one. You know, pat them on the back. If you're feeling energetic and sympathetic, ask them how they're doing. Ask them if something's going wrong. Maybe you can help. Who knows? It's a small thing. Maybe it doesn't take a lot of energy for you to ask that, but maybe they benefit from you doing so. Maybe they'll return the favor. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Credits have rolled. Episode is done. So I will say, peace out, detectives.